Alright, a lot of people have asked me about, questioning what happens when shit hits the fan, what guns do you have, or what do you recommend to do, in a scenario like that. And for those of you that don't understand what that scenario is, that's basically either a collapse or breakdown in the social order where, things get bad and society starts falling apart. But before we get into it, if you would please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, and if you could, become a member. Alright, so I get that question a lot because a lot of the guns, the mil surplus guns, kind of fall right into this category of, we'll call them preppers, or they used to be called, I remember one guy, survivalists. And then also at one time there were militia movements back in the 80s and 90s. Those have kind of gone by the wayside. And the reason is our society is kind of deteriorated over time, and this is a problem. And this has all been engineered. People are more self-centered. People also have a very narrow and shallow view of things. They don't like thinking. They don't like watching long videos. They don't like being bothered, and they just react and go along with whatever pops into their head, which is kind of limited. No deep thought at all, or trying to look at the big picture. So this is one giant thing against us, is the breakdown of society along that lines. I believe the U.S. government has been defunct or whatever for quite a long time. It's not doing what it's supposed to do for the people of this country, okay? And actually I believe the whole U.S. government and justice system is a charade. It's just put out there it's all an act, just to give us the feeling that there is something we can do. We can go and wear hats and vote and do this, and then protest and no kings and all this other stuff. It's all a game just to keep people occupied. But the real thing going on is, and somebody put it as short as I can say it without getting in depth or trying to explain it, because it is complicated. The world is controlled by an underground criminal syndicate. The whole world. And these people have the power and the means, okay, to control said governments, all right? They also, and the things that they control also through the governments and that, is number one, your energy supply, which without it, we'd be back in the Stone Age again, and life itself would, a lot of people couldn't handle that. If there's no electricity, no internet, no cell phones, and no gas to drive your car. And yes, with no energy, no electric cars either. They control the food, okay? They control the money, the banking system, all right? So you can, like we've seen up in Canada, if you do something the government doesn't like, they just freeze your bank account, okay? Who has enough cash lying around to survive, okay, over a short period of time, say 6 months or a year, because I don't know if they ever unfroze these people's bank accounts. Never heard that. And also, our whole society and system is set up to where you're not really using cash. You're even having automatic withdrawals to pay your bill. You pay with a debit card. You Google Pay, Tap and Go, or whatever. You rarely see anybody peeling out actual cash money, It's like, even though I write a check for a mortgage payment, I'm surprised that that hasn't aggravated them to the point where they demand I set up an automatic withdrawal on the computer from my bank account. Okay, which a lot of things, a lot of the bills, that's what's demanded. So they got you coming and going. Okay, if you're using all this electronic stuff for paying your bills and money and that, it's convenient, it's easy, but if somebody pulls the plug, you're screwed. Okay, so we're in a bad situation. What's going on with the war and everything, you can't tell what's true, what's not true, or nothing. Okay, this war serves a purpose for a certain group of individuals. It's disrupting an awful lot of things. Okay, and also what's gone on in the past 48 hours, it appears that our government is pretty much falling apart. When you start firing everybody, and all these cabinet members and people running all these government things, this isn't good. This is like the United States is turning into some third world shithole where they change the government every other week. Okay? And the consequences of this war, however it's going, because, who knows? Now, another theory was that after the plague, which I think that was a dry run to see how they can get control over people globally. Okay, I'm not even going to mention the illness, but that was a dry run. That was an experiment. Much like when they were using debt to take the sovereignty of a nation. And Greece is the one that they did this to. They set up a deal that the Greeks had to agree to this, but no matter who was elected in their government, they could not change this agreement for the foreseeable future with however they restructured their financial system. Which basically people said, does that mean they've lost their sovereignty? When they have to make a financial agreement with an outside entity or a controlling group, the World Bank, I guess, and they can't change this agreement or modify it, irregardless if the people who sign this are voted out of office and replaced with another government. Okay, that means that they've null and voided their sovereignty. And the thing is, when that happened all them years ago, there were several countries supposed to fall right behind it. Italy, Spain, and there were several European countries this was going to, but it didn't, because they didn't like the results. Then when the plague came, what happened and the craziness there, they kind of didn't like the results and people started rebelling. So that experiment went south. So now it's going to be wars. They need the wars. And they need the wars as an excuse to disrupt all this. The food supply is going to be disrupted. Energy is going to be disrupted. And capitalism and the global banking system, they're going to do something where they're going to crash the U.S. economy. And we're not going to go into a recession. We are going to go into a depression. Okay? And they're going to try, I guess, the Great Reset everyone kept putting in the comments and freaking out about. I guess this is going to kind of be that. Okay? Because seriously, the reason I'm making this video, and I'm going to make some others talking about basically prepping for the shit hits the fan thing, irregardless how bad this turns out or how bad it gets, if we go into a serious recession or a depression, okay, which is far worse, we haven't seen one since the 1930s. And the way, that's why I mentioned society, the way people are, their reaction to that, to be being bankrupt overnight. People have no self-control. You see that when you drive your car, when you go to a parking lot of a grocery store. People are freaked out, okay? I've noticed there are more violent incidents happening around, especially in the city, but every weekend somebody's getting shot, stabbed, or something. And this is a direct result from the underlying stress. Okay, when money starts tightening up, there are a lot of people out there that are not going to take this calmly. They're going to lose it. They're going to react. They have no control to begin with. And when they're trapped like a wild animal, that's when they start acting like this. You're going to see more violence, more shootings, more stabbings, just more violent behavior. You're also going to start to see, when things get real bad, especially over a long period of time, more petty theft, more people crawling around trespassing, going through cars, stealing stuff. If gasoline gets to, like they're saying, if you're paying double of what you're paying now, that's when people are going to be crawling around at night trying to siphon gas out of cars, or in parking lots of shopping centers or grocery stores, or wherever there's a big parking lot, people will be crawling around there trying to siphon gas. Okay, you're going to see more petty crimes. Alright? More thievery. And who knows, will it get to where there's civil unrest? Now, I remember during the COVID years when I walked into a grocery store, and the first time in my life, because that was a supply chain or whatever, where there were empty shelves, and the frozen food section, it was empty. Okay, in the U.S. of A. Okay, I grew up that doesn't happen in this country. Our standard of living was higher than just about anybody else's. That the infrastructure of this great nation of ours has gotten to the point where you walk into a grocery store and there's no bread, there's no milk, there's nothing, empty. Okay? Imagine what's going to happen. Okay, when, even if the stuff is there, but it's 4 times higher than what it was. Alright? You're just going to run out of money. Just me and my wife. I forget what she was telling me. It's like the monthly grocery bill went from $1,000 for everything, and that's including other household products, toilet paper, like the big toilet paper crews. It went to $1,500, and if they jack it up, and raise it more, which is going to happen, now you're paying double what you did 3 years ago. But are you making twice the amount of money that you did? And your taxes are going up, like I made that video. Property taxes are going up. All this other stuff's going up. And then, now they got it to where if you try to buy or sell stuff online, like, on eBay or Gunbroker or something, if somebody's paying you with PayPal, after you hit the $600 mark, or with Vemu or anything, you're going to get a 1099. You're going to be taxed 32% on the money that you draw in. So we're talking some serious financial hardships, and we're talking some rough times ahead that could be potentially dangerous to your person. Okay, that is what's making me nervous. Matter of fact, I just spent some money and installed a video surveillance system around the perimeter of my house. Okay, because I feel that as things get worse, the conditions, even though mine is pretty pleasant where I live, it's nice, I don't have any concerns, but I'm starting to believe that that's going to change. And if you live in an urban area or in any type of large city, things are already starting. You can see it where they're getting worse, you know. So I just wanted to get that out. I am going to make a video talking about what firearms you should more or less try to have if you don't have them already. Ammunition, also, the price of that's going up with inflation and everything else. How to conservatively plan and try to get enough stuff just to cover your ass. Okay. And also what guns you should, if you don't have them, okay, which ones you should think about getting. And still actually right now, certain gun prices, they're still low. They got sales all the time. So sales are bad. Okay. So now would be the time to scrape money together or do something to very conservatively plan ahead and protect yourself. Okay. And I'll get more into that in another video. Alright, thank you and stay tuned.